Okay, boys, you can bring it down. You can bring it down. Yeah, you can fade out. No, don't play louder. Fade out. Fade out. Thank you. Let's get on with the show. We have a lot to talk about here on a Harness Players Podcast live version. And live means a lot of different things. It means first and foremost that I am alive. I can listen to my heartbeat right now, and that's concerning. So I'm not going to listen to that anymore. It also means that we are being broadcast at the same time as you are watching this. So you can go into the comment sections of the YouTube feed. You can even reply on the tweet feed, because this is also streaming live on the In the Money Media Twitter. And you can say such things as, that's what he looks like? That's my host? I was thinking he would have a bit more of a cherubic Carson look. And then other people can reply, what is a cherubic Carson look? You want him to look younger? And someone goes, I think Carson looked young for his age. And then it will totally sprawl away from the focus of this show, which is the Delvin Miller Adios Pace for the Orchids, the 59th edition of the marquee race over at Hollywood Casino at the Meadows. We're going to talk about some of the stakes action on tap. Before I introduce you to the panel, though, I want to introduce you to the betting options for Delvin Miller Adios Day. We have $160,000 combined in guaranteed pools that you can play into. They include a $10,000 guarantee in the Adios Pick 6. That starts in race 11. It includes the 59th Delvin Miller Adios, as does that $15,000 guaranteed Adios Pick 4. The Adios itself will have guaranteed verticals, $35,000, the guaranteed pool in the trifecta, $15,000, the guaranteed pool in the super, and myriad other guarantees on the undercard. $5,000 pick 4 in race 1, $10,000 tries, $10,000 supers. You can read the graphic for yourself, but our main focus here on this live show will be that $15,000 guaranteed Adios Pick 4. I'll have some thoughts about it, but I'm mostly just going to be curating through other people's thoughts. I consider myself the brain surgeon of this discussion. I'm going to ask and pry inside of the thoughts of each of our panelists to try and get to the truth, which is, how do you bet this stuff? I think I got some great minds to help me with that. They include my regular co-host on this show, Mr. Mike Probozzi. He likes to go by Mikey P, although I don't know if that's what his driver's license says. We have no time to really figure out if that is the case. We also have Kevin Plowcha, who will have to unmute himself, but I will mute him if he starts to act out of order. And we have some Meadows locals, including the track announcer himself. You might recognize his voice from when he called your horse losing, and it may have actually been personal. He is Jeff Zidek. And then we also have someone who may be named after the track. Maybe I'm hearing the track is named after her. I at least know her name is Meadow Twaddle. She's also the co-host of the Pennsylvania Horse Racing Association podcast, Hot to Trot. And it's specifically the number 2. If you type out TO, you're not going to find it. And that's just how cool things are going over there at the Pennsylvania Horse Racing Association. Thank you to everybody for hopping on for this discussion. Kevin, especially, thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Yeah, Jeff, thank you for coming.
Where else would I be on a Wednesday night at 8?
That's exactly what I wrote in the email. Jeff, what I'm curious about, Jeff, what are some of the places you might be, like, what show are you currently watching that you just can't get enough of that you would be watching right now?
All I watch anymore is Discovery Channel and History Channel for one reason, and that's because I'm old. So,
anything good happen? Have we discovered anything new?
No.
Is any new electricity or?
No, it's just the stuff that I never paid attention to for the past 50-some years, and now I'm learning about it. So.
And from what I've gathered on History Channel, it's all of the aliens that we somehow haven't discovered, and that's not on Discovery Channel. I think there's a conspiracy at play there. And
Ray, I want to know how you're doing brain surgery when you're trying to listen to your heart with a pair of headphones on. Like, what? Yeah, is there a stethoscope attached? What's going on there?
Mike, you went to medical school when they were still using rocks for stethoscopes. Things have changed since the prehistoric era of when I went to school. But We also have a lot of stuff that isn't brain surgery to talk about, though sometimes when you handicap a race, I would argue I would rather be doing brain surgery. We're going to look at the Delvin Miller Adios Pick 4 sequence, $15,000 guaranteed pool, as I mentioned at the start of the show. And I think we're going to dive first into the race everyone wants to talk about, which is the payoff leg of that sequence. It is race number 16, the race that everyone inherently will be looking forward to on this Adios Day card, because it's the easiest race to go through. It's going to take 5 minutes to talk about the non-winners of $1,775 pace. And I said that last time because I forgot Edison Hatter was on the show. We don't have Edison here. We wish Edison well, though. I hear he's at the zoo this weekend. I don't know whether as an attendant or as an exhibit. But again, his life outside of racing. But this is the payoff leg of the sequence. Arguably could be the most important race because you got to hinge some opinions based on how you go in the other stakes races. So we'll quickly talk about this race specifically, starting with you, Kevin. Two notable horses dropping in class in the 3 and 4. And I think the argument of this race is whether they have it on lockdown or not. What do you think?
I'll use one, and I'm actually glad that they're incorporating this race into the Adios multi-leg sequences, because I want to say in past years they didn't, and it was kind of just, well, the Adios is over, the multis are over, everybody can leave. But you got to give some love to the bottom condition pace every year. I mean, they're going to get to the half in 53 and 4, just like they do every single time. So it's going to be great. First of all, if Anthony McDonald does not drive Bicorn Hanover, get rid of him. Okay, we saw it last week with Rock Shining Star. You know what can happen. I'll go too deep, at least in the A category. Picasin, I think, is a horse that does a lot better whenever up close. He was not getting close to Dragon City last time whenever he finished 5th. But he should shine on the drop-in class, and I think Ren's going to have him forward. So I'll use him, as well as Dragon City, who was 3rd in that race, but nobody was really gaining on him other than the top 2 who were ahead of him. And I think he's one that really does need to step up and will at this level. So for me, I'm 4-5. Just 2 horses that I think are going to be up close and will capitalize off that.
How do you like the 4 in the race? Honestly, how?
Like
this horse made 7,000 in the last 2 years.
I like him more than
for 110 lifetime at 10 years old. Like, you just like it because Ronnie Ren's on.
Because I know he's going to give him a chance.
He's also making a drop in class.
He was 70-1 last time.
To me, those look like typical sit and pray type efforts, and now on the drop, he's going to pop. That I can see the argument on the 4, but if you're not using him, who do you use, Mike?
I don't know how do you not mention the 3 in the race? Like, how is that possible?
Well, I said the 3 is making a notable class drop. Yeah.
Notable. Yeah. I mean, and at least this horse has made it won a few races the past couple of years. And you got, Pallone. This is a massive drop for this horse. And, if you look at it, that last mile had absolutely no chance whatsoever. He's got an inside post. Dave's going to blast off here and he's going to play Catch Me If You Can. And the only horse you can use is Dragon City. At least I agree with you there. I think he might have won last year on the Meadows card. If not, he raced very well. I think it's one of those 2. The rest of them have no chance.
Jeff, is this true? Is it really one of those 2? Because I didn't even mention Dragon City.
That's where I went 5 over the 3. I'm going to use them both because Dragon City, it's the back class. Dragon City has not seen a class this low. This was an open pacer a year ago. He's only 6 years old. He's not done by any means. He hasn't come back quite as strong this year. He does have a mark of 52, though. He hasn't shown the 50 speed he showed last year, but he also, I think he's going to get cut loose on the front. Now, the other factor with principal interest is you see he won here earlier this year. You see he won here last year. Those were with trainer Mike Pallone. Mike had this horse before. So this is a return to his barn. And the other key factor, this is one of my biggies with handicapping, is he paced in 51 last week, and he hadn't raced since a qualifier on June 10th. So now there's 2 ways to look at it. Why didn't he race for a month, or were there some issues there? But the fact that he was able to go in 51 in an arguably considerably higher level and hadn't raced in over 4 weeks, he should be much, much more sharp coming back off of 2 weeks rest this time.
I like what you said with Dragon City. He's only 6 years old. He's not done. Rarely do you hear something you could say about a horse the same way you could say about my first grade son. But Meadow, right now it seems like everyone's kind of honing in on specifically the 3 and the 5. I guess only Kevin and I think the 4 has any redeemable qualities inside of this race. So I'm curious where you're landing.
Yeah, so I am just using the 3. I think this is a pretty significant class drop for this horse back in the Mike Palone barn. With his brother Dave driving, he's going to go straight to the front with that horse. And I think if the trip goes exactly his way, which I think it will 100%, this is all his race. And this horse should not be beat. I did like Dragon City last year, but looking at his lines, he keeps dropping class week after week, and he just can't seem to win. He's getting in the money a little bit, not really, but he just can't win. So I'm putting all my marbles on principal interest.
Now, for me, I think I land 3-4. Dragon City, I don't really like how he was chasing that fast mile last time. And same cases with principal interest. Even he was losing ground, as a matter of fact, in that 48 and change mile. But I feel like the drop in class is notable enough that going into the bottom level, he should be able to find something. I hope. It's like when you dive into the well, you hope you either find a couple of coins or that boy that the newspaper has been writing endlessly about. So that does the race I know everyone wanted us to talk about, race 16. Please stick around, though. I promise that there are incredibly interesting races still to come, including the first leg of this $15,000 guaranteed Adios Pick 4, race number 13. It is a Pennsylvania Sire Stake event, second division of 2 for the 2-year-old pacing colts and geldings. It kicks off this sequence, which has a 50-cent minimum. Some tracks have 20 cents and you can buy infinite combos. Some tracks have $1. This is that middle ground of 50 cents. You got to be a little cognizant of how many horses you're using so you don't build up your cost and kill your equity. But we were kind of talking beforehand how this is a sequence where you can make some potentially profitable decisions, including in this race where most of these horses are unexposed. They have 1 start. They maybe have 2 starts. No one even knows who they were. I opened this page. I didn't know who any of these horses were. Granted, that's because they barely raced. But I'm gonna start with you, Jeff, specifically. You've gotten to see some of these horses locally. Odds-on favorite for 1. Ain't Playing Nice. Ty Hanover. Anything that you can glean of what you've seen of them that maybe prioritizes them on your tickets, or are you maybe more intrigued by some of the invaders?
I thought actually races 13 and 14, I thought were 2 of the toughest races of the entire 16 race card to handicap. I did land on one that I have seen, and it's one that's not stake tested, the 6-8 Playing Nice. That was a 54-4 final half last week. It was a 3-week layoff between the June 19th qualifier and the July 12th first race. He had an equipment issue, it says. I don't really know how major or minor that was. I didn't notice anything during the race, but this horse came home in 54 4/5 in his first official start. I mean, that was absolutely a monster effort. Now, the question is, off of that, how ready is he for this level of competition? Obviously, this is a lot tougher than a non-winners of 1. If he's going out there and coming home in 54 this week, there's going to be horses that can do that with him or stay with him. But how much more speed does he have? Can he go in 50? Can he go in 51 this week? We just have no way to know that. Frantic Hanover looks good on paper, 52-1 at Pocono in his first lifetime start. He did that from the pocket. He's got post 7, which is going to be a little trickier. I think Ty Hanover is leaving the gate. The Mitchell York and Jeremy Indoff combination, they like to send him to the front. I think that horse is going for the front as well. So you could see some very quick fractions. This horse got involved in a little bit in the early fractions last week. They weren't too steep, 57-4. He came home in 26-3 and got caught by a horse, Melillo, who's also in on Saturday, who may be one of the best horses in the country for all we know. We're going to find out more about that one this week as well. But Ty Hanover stayed with that one coming home last week. And then Apocalypse Blue Chip. This is the interesting one for me. He looks like, I didn't go back and watch the race because I didn't have time quite yet, but he looks like he got shuffled. He left the gate and then he got shuffled back from the lead to where he was 5th by the top of the stretch. So it looks kind of like a shuffle job on that one. He still came home 26-3. He could be the sleeper in there, but I could make a case for damn near every one of these horses in here. So I may go 3 or 4 deep into this one. I'm still trying to make that decision as the rest of you talk. Maybe you'll help me decide.
Well, that's an interesting note you made on Melillo. I didn't know too much about him. Meadow, I don't know if you've been able to catch some of that one's races in particular, and maybe that makes you feel Ty Hanover could be a standout inside of this race? Because he does have the most notable gate speed inside of this race, but at the same time, that could also hurt his price. So I'm curious how you're looking to incorporate him or to leave him off of your ticket.
So I left him off of my ticket. I did think this one through for a long while. I really do like this horse. I've watched him race week after week, and he's really impressive, but he's only been successful off of a trip on the front. And like you said, Mitch York and Jeremy, they like to do that trip. They like to take their horses to the front. I just think in this type of competition with the 7 Frantic Hanover, I just don't think that a front end trip is going to be successful for him.
And so then if that's the case, who are you maybe looking to lean on inside of this spot?
I really like the 2. Back half in 55 flat last week. He just seems to be getting better and better each week. So I definitely put him on my ticket. And I do like 8 Playing Nice. He's a homebred by Judy Rogner. First start for Brian Brown is a winner. Like Jeff said, back half in 54, he chopped off 6 seconds from his qualifier to his first parimutuel start, and he shows some serious high speed. So I'm not counting him out. I think if he gets the right trip, he can really show us how fast he is. So I have 2, 6, 7.
Okay, we're getting closer to my total numbers here. Kevin, what do you got?
Hi, Ray.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Listen,
let's stop this whole show for a second. Let's just you and I have a conversation. Keep going.
No, we could. I have some questions about Ty Hanover personally, because you see he has post 6 in that All-Stars race, and he went to the front. It's a bit deceiving because there were about 2.5 horses on the gate. And I've noticed it a lot at Pocono with some of the 2-year-old races. There's just not a lot of horses on the gate. So it's going to be a big challenge, a bigger challenge, I should say, from post 8. Although I like his battling ability. I love Malillo. I really liked watching his morning preps. And I think he is one of the top 2-year-old pacers in the country right now. And you see Ty Hanover lose to him by just half a length. So whatever he does, I believe it's race 10 that he goes off and races from post 7, I think. But that'll be a bit of a reference point. But I just am really struggling with whether or not to include Ty Hanover because it's a tougher post and there's plenty of speed inside of him, but he has a lot of pure speed. And we've seen Indoff and York team up in the past couple of seasons with horses like a Rose Run Zeke. I was trying to pick Jeff's brain. I finally figured out that Rose Run Zeke was the horse that they sent out and had a super successful start to his campaign. So I'm very on the fence about him. The other 2 that I like are Ring and the Captain, like Meadow. If you go back and watch his debut, he got stopped about 3 times. He tried to pull to the outside the first time. He had to check up a little bit. And there was another horse that pulled in front of him, and he had to check up. And then he was swinging 3 wide in the final turn, and the horse that was 2 wide made a break. So he kind of had to go a little bit wider than even maybe he had to. So I was super impressed by that effort and his stop and start ability. And I think a second to Swig Hanover is fine. I know he was the big favorite, but he really wasn't exerted that much. Now you get Andrew McCarthy on. I think there's more speed to this guy, and Ain't Playing Nice Brian Brown, unless he had more than 1 starter in today, which I don't think he did, and he was a winner with Stranger on the Beach, that moves him to 15 for 28. So he's winning it over 53% here this year, which is a remarkable number, no matter the sample size. So 2 and 6, I'm very on the fence about the 8, and then 7 in behind is a B type if you have the equity to spread there.
Mike, what I'm gathering from everyone else spouting their opinions, because again, I am the resident surgeon here, and you're my deputy. I am getting that this could potentially be a spread race to start the sequence. So I'm wondering, from your vantage point, do you see any way to maybe go slim to start? If there are some horses in this race where logically people are going to think these horses can step up and want to use a bunch of them on their tickets, where maybe you can afford yourself that spread ability elsewhere in the sequence.
Well, I mean, I would pitch the 8. If the 8 wins from the 8 hole in this race, then that's fine. He's going to beat me and knock me out of this ticket. I'm not interested in this horse from this post going for $70,000. I just don't think it's going to happen, especially given his one-way type. Now, he might change tactics. He might show us something different here. He might be able to get a trip and perhaps be better than these. And that's, I do think that you'll get an okay price on him because of the post and because of the other drivers in the race. When you have Andrew McCarthy and Ronnie Wren and Todd McCarthy and Pallone and Tetrick, well, Jeremy Indoff is going to get ignored from the 8 hole. So that is one thing that will provide a little value for him. If you do like him, I prefer others. I prefer the 2 and the 6. I think that you could probably go slim and use those 2 in this ticket and probably get through, because I think they've both shown talent. You have to be very leery of Brian Brown horses that show up and crush like this one did. I think improvement is extremely likely. This horse draws perfect, and Palone's familiar. There's lots to like with that one. And then the 2, Kevin laid that case out for you. One horse nobody mentioned is the 5, Call Me Big Poppy, and it's Noel Daly. Shows up from the Meadowlands. They were in the kindergarten first time out, drew the rail in that spot, had speed early, made an early move, ended up 3rd, kicked well. They show up here in this spot for a big pot. I think that horse could be used as a B type in this race. And I'd be curious to see the price. I'd be curious to see where Todd lands here too, because if he shows up on the 5, and he probably will, but he's probably a use for me. So heavy 2-6, a little 5-2.
Yeah, I couldn't really figure out what to do, because every 2-year-old that Noel's been sending has been stellar, and you can't really read too much into his baby race times. He's another one of those guys that he preps them a certain way, and I've been really amazed at just how they've been off the blocks. I got to see a couple of them at Oak Grove, and they were quite surprising. But I couldn't really get a good gauge on Call Me Big Poppy. That's one where we get to look at the odds board in this opening race. So if he's maybe in like the 9-2, 6-1 territory, I'd want to throw him onto the ticket. Otherwise, I'm thinking the 2 makes a lot of sense here. I'm sold on the 6, especially just noticing he's going to be first-time Lasix inside of this spot. Just off of his debut effort, can only imagine he's going to be even stronger in start number 2. 4 for me is probably a B type, because I saw the same thing that Jeff said. And a horse who gets shuffled, you never really has a chance to close, especially when they were sprinting home in that final quarter. So who knows if he can get a better shake inside of this race, what he may have to offer. And certainly if Todd decides to take the 5 over the 4, you're probably going to get a better price on that Bongiorno trainee. And that could be a scenario where if you have him as a lone B, that can give you some further equity in some of these later races, including in race number 14, which is the second leg of this pick 4 sequence. Again, the $15,000 guaranteed pick 4 sequence. The Mickey Burke Audio Volo Grade 3 event, second division of 2. This one goes for $57,000. The first division comes right before the start of this pick 4 sequence. Have 8 going postward here. And Jeff, to me, I was trying to figure out first and foremost, who's possibly the favorite inside of this race? Part of me was thinking Asphalt may have to be that, considering she was odds on against Poppy Grad, who was a stellar 2-year-old for Steve Carter into her 3-year-old campaign. Hasn't had the same reverberations, but still a solid horse. But at the same time, outside draw, have to wonder if bettors are going to be leery of all the other speeder inside, and that could maybe be. They could be fearful that she may not be able to hold on against that. What do you think?
I think there's one key number in this race, and that is the number 4, not horse 4, but the number 4. You see it on Always Dawn, 149-4 last start. That's going to draw people. Plus, I know it was from Mohawk, and I know it was post 9 on a bigger track, but people are going to see a 9 post. They're going to see that number, that 49 number in there, and I think that's where your favorites roll is going to go. Now, this horse was here. Did win a Stallion Series, but this is considerably tougher than a Stallion Series, I think. There's a lot of factors at play. To me, this is a 4 deep race all the way. There's no question. I'm using 4 horses on a pick 4 if I'm looking at anything in this race. From inside out, Always Dawn, again, that 49 line from post 9. Yeah, it drew me in to notice that one as well. Always Anna Hanover. Those last 2 starts were against tough older mares. Those were not easy fields. I don't think I picked her either time, and she went out there. I might have picked her the second time after she made me a believer the first time, but I thought that was a total bet against 2 back when she goes off 4 to 5 against a very good field of older horses, and she put them away. She went wire to wire. She didn't just sneak up the inside later and like that. She put that field away, and those were tough older horses. And that's, again, since the addition of Lasix. Time of the season, there's my handicapping factor again. June 21st to July 17th, this horse took a month off, comes back and wins in 52 and a piece, went to the front to the half, and then battled. Meadow can give us a little more insight to that one because her dad is the trainer on that one, but that was a massive effort from time of the season after being off a month. And then Asphalt on the outside. 5 wins and 6 starts. I don't like the post. I think the horse is going to draw a lot of attention. I do not like the post. But you want to talk about a trainer that has had nothing but success here over the years, especially on Adios Day, it's Brett Pelly.
Brett is one of the all-star in my mind, of course, inside of the sport. And you mentioned important thing. I should have probably thrown it to Meadow first, because I forgot this is the race where Tim does have a horse here in time of the season. There's a part of me that also feels like the page speaks for itself, where there is that little bit of time off, but I don't even think that race at Pocono was terrible. The horse had a bad draw, had to land into a tough spot, tried to get what she could from that position. And it seems like a somewhat tough race considering those circumstances. And then next out, given a better opportunity, was able to flex some might. Is that a fair assessment, or is there anything that you can note on that filly in particular?
Yeah, no, her Pocono start, that just wasn't really her day. But I mean, I'm not just saying this because my dad's a trainer and I'm not biased, but from my perspective, she is at her sharpest right now, and I don't think it would make much sense to leave her off of the ticket. She's a force, and I definitely think that she's going to be a heavy factor in this race. Her as well as Asphalt. You just can't leave him her off the ticket. Skywalker C with Austin Hanners. I like that horse. I like that she's been in consistent stakes company all throughout her season. She's only shown really one bad line at Oak Grove. Other than that, she's pretty consistent, and I really like her. And of course, Always Dawn, that 149 is drawing to the eye. I have 2, 3, 5, 8. Yeah, that's my ticket.
Yeah, that Oak Grove race, that Skywalker C race at Oak Grove, first and foremost, I should make note that was a race where when we were, because I'm the Oak Grove guy in case people forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody remembers.
You don't remind us every 30 seconds or anything.
It's easy to forget. Do you realize when I get out of bed sometimes I'm like, where are my socks? And then I go the whole day in my shoes, even no socks. It's hard to remember things. That race at Oak Grove, Skywalker C was at such a disadvantage because from what I've gathered, we got to see her as a 2-year-old there too, and she set the track record there. She seems like a type who has like a good sustaining move to her, but she doesn't really have the amount of fight to be like a first up type of filly. And in that race at Oak Grove specifically, she had to climb into the mix against Virgil Morgan horse and Odds on Chesapeake, who was going to go 54 to the half, big 3/4, and no one's really going to make up any ground. Especially since she
Ray.
Yes.
Ray. She had to do it without Lasix too.
That is true. And that's always been tough because sometimes at Oak Grove, it means nothing. But then sometimes it means something. And I think really that's a profound statement we can make on all of horse racing. But that I do give her a mulligan for that race at Oak Grove because if she got second there, that would have been tremendous. But I think that just showed us that she's at least a good filly. But I'm thinking she's going to want to try and trip out more inside of this spot. And that's where I can see her as a factor here. I definitely see the benefits of the 5. Mike, what I'm wondering is the 8 Asphalt in this race a similar scenario to Ty Hanover in the first leg of this pick 4? It's another speed type who has a bad draw, who's probably going to go forward. I would maybe argue Asphalt has a little bit more class to the resume and a little bit more fight just based on the company she's been keeping. And that's what makes it confusing of whether she's either hurting the value of my ticket for including or if I'm better off trying to beat her from this spot. What do you think?
Totally different scenario. I mean, with Ty Hanover, that's a 2-year-old that is moving outside for the first time. That's a one-way speed type. Asphalt's a 3-year-old filly that can win from off the pace, has proven that last time, had an outside posted filly, which a 7-hole filly is like graveness compared to, the Meadows. It's completely different to be outside of filly and be able to win from off the pace. Now, I know she was 2 to 5 in there, but still she got it done versus older. She's proven, in these PA Sire Stakes races also, this legitimate horse. And I do think that there's plenty of speed inside that she's probably just going to float, look to be second over in the race. And she just needs her class to take over. I think the 3's going the wrong way a little bit. The 2's going to take a ton of money, especially if Dexter lands there, coming off of those really quick times like Jeff said. But I'm curious to see what sort of trip that he tries to go with this one. She showed speed in the past. Last time was pretty far off of it. I think that one's a must use in the race. So I'd probably be 2 and 8. I have to throw in Tim's horse because there's no way I'm going to get beat out of this pick 4. I always use his horses. So, I mean, and that's been for years. And I've said that on every show, every time. So there's no secret there. But that one's probably going to need a trip. And this is a class test for her for sure. But maybe she gets the right trip in this race. She's certainly improving. The last race was excellent. So we'll see who shows up. I'm curious to see where Dexter lands here. But there's plenty of other guys in the room, I think, to show up on that one. 2-8 meet for me very heavily, and then a little, sanity 5 on the ticket.
And then Kevin, for you, how are you approaching this race?
Up 2-8 as well. I just think that
I didn't think you were that short, but keep going.
No, I just think they're the 2 best fillies in this race. I know Always Dawn is coming off some quick, flashy times at Mohawk, where the track is playing extremely fast right now, and obviously it's going to play faster because it's a 7/8. But you just watch right now, and the speed is absolutely ridiculous. But she's clearly improving. Those 2 races in PA in the Stallion Series, I know it's weaker competition, but I think she's clearly improving with each start since joining the Tony Beaton barn. And if Dexter lands there, I have all the more confidence that he's going to give her a winning trip. And for Asphalt, it was a measured win, I think, if you go back and watch that replay. She really wasn't asked too much, maybe a little bit in the stretch to get by Blue Point, but I thought Tetrick had a pretty good idea of what she had and where the wire was. I thought that race 3 back when she was here on June the 7th was extremely impressive. I know she kind of tripped out from the pocket, but when she came out of the pocket, she had a huge burst of speed. I think she can overcome the post because I think she's just that talented. So I'm 2-8, and if I want to, I'll play backup ticket with the 5 on it, just because.
Well, that does it for the Mickey Burke Audio Volo, but that's not the Adios, also presented by the Mickey Burke family. Worth noting that too, and in some ways goes through his son potentially, Mr. Ron Burke. Does anyone call him Mr.? I've never heard anyone call him Mr. Ron Burke or Mr. Burke. We're going to archive that in the Does Anyone Care About This? But this is the 59th Delvin Miller Adios. It's the first grade 1 Delvin Miller Adios, for whatever it's worth, presented by the Mickey Burke family. Of the 9 horses inside of this race, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them come from the Ron Burke barn.
No way.
This is not sponsored by El Chocador, unfortunately. This is sponsored by the Mickey Burke family. The Adios, every single year, a race that many people look forward to. It's almost $400,000 in the purse. It's now a grade 1 race. It's on many horse people's calendar. And I mean, Jeff, this is a really deep field. I feel like a lot of people have been talking about how good necessarily this 3-year-old crop is, but from a betting perspective, I feel like it's contentious enough that every time they go behind the gate, there's potentially a new opportunity, whether it's for a horse to establish himself as the head honcho of the division or for someone to surprise. Like these are the types of stakes races I know I prefer to watch. I'm curious for you. You've been calling at the Meadows now for some years. How does this audio stack to you?
For some years.
Yeah, 38. That's enough. Yeah, it's a great field. I mean, when Lou Print unfortunately had to undergo surgery that opened the entire thing up. The Burke stable then threw a lot of horses at it, and all 5 of them made it. Great opportunity for Twisted Destiny. I mean, what a rags to riches story. I mean, he was only in the Pennsylvania Stallion Series last year. Now, not that those are bad horses by any means, but that just means that they did not feel as though he was a top level horse in Pennsylvania last year. He went out, he ended up winning the series championship. So he had a fantastic season, but this year they decided to bring him back and put him into the top level sire stake. And lo and behold, he comes out of the blocks looking good, and he just keeps getting better. I mean, that just seemed like an almost effortless 48 last week. Now, as others have said, he was kind of left alone. Is that going to translate the same when he gets pressure this week? That's the big question. And by the way, you guys can all complain. Yes, this one and only race, that is not a computer morning line. That is my morning line. So if you don't like it, just I don't really care. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to Twisted Destiny. What I saw last week, he was just the best of that group. Now, the one that I'm going to for second this week is the horse that's adding Lasix, and that's Rick Wink. My opinion on Rick Wink last week was they put him there for a reason. The Burks are not going to spend $35,000 frivolously. No one is. They put this horse as the first ever supplement to an Adios for a reason. Now, he went out there last week. I think they realized partway around the final turn that he was not going to be able to catch Twisted Destiny. And I think he was just kind of, not eased, but he didn't really press himself to try to get a little closer to second, because I don't think he felt at that point he was close enough to get into those top two. And the horse bled. So he's going on Lasix this week. I think you're going to see an aggressive drive out of Chris Page on Rick Wink. I think you're going to see more out of him. I think he's going to be close to it this week. So I'm using Rick Wink second. Swingtown is going to be good, but the other one that I really liked last week was Railroad Station. Railroad Station got checked. He didn't have to quite come to a stop, but he didn't exactly have a clear path at the 3/4 pole when the horse that was on the front tired in a hurry at that last turn. He just, he really slowed down, and that jammed him up. Makes sense, put in a big effort coming back after an interference break. But what I saw at a Railroad Station last week, and the furious stretch drive out of that one, you put Tim Tetrick on this horse, you get this horse any kind of trip. I think he's coming from the back. And when you've got the 8 and the 9 out there, I think the whole interesting factor to this race, the biggest interesting factor to this race, is Prince Hal Hanover drawing the 8. I think he's got to leave out of there. I think Yannick's going to leave out with a 9. You could see some blistering fractions. Who's a good closer? Well, Railroad Station showed it last week. So, I'm looking at 3-2, 6, and then the 4 Swingtown as my fourth pick. Now, I did pick Swingtown last week. I liked him. He went off 8-1. I thought that was a bargain, but this is a little tougher group this week. And I am going to pick Twisted Destiny, and I'm sure others will dissent on that one. But what I saw last week, they've got to beat him. He's the one to catch.
Yeah, this is a race where I do think you can go a whole bunch of different directions, even down to who's going to leave, how's that going to put this horse into what position, including Twisted Destiny, where Dexter maybe is aggressive with him, maybe takes back to try and find a helmet. This is a handicapping puzzler. And at the same time, I think there are many horses who have shown that they can take a step up. Twisted Destiny himself proved it. But Meadow, for you, from the 2 eliminations going into this final, did anything in particular stand out to you that helps you hone in on a specific horse in this race?
I'll say that I've spent the whole day running this race through my head, all the hundreds of different ways it could go based on what I've seen from all these horses. And I really can't give you a straight answer still. And I'm at the point in my handicapping career, it's still early on, where when I'm not successful, I still get slightly offended. So it still kind of burns a little bit. So all day this has been a constant battle, but I just think that no one can be either Twisted Destiny or Prince Hal. It's going to come down to those two. And if any horse were to be either of them, it's going to be Rick Wink. In my opinion, from what I've seen in the trips from all of the Burke horses, I don't think that Swingtown is a better horse than Rick Wink. And if it comes down to it, and Twisted Destiny and Prince Hal, it doesn't work out for them, I think Rick Wink will take the Adios.
Interesting. I imagine that makes Kevin a little opinionated, because Kevin, if I remember correctly, last week, or maybe it was Edison, it's hard to remember because Edison did 10,000 other things, including trying to get the entire In the Money media audience to dial my phone number.
And mine.
Yours was at the end. And quite frankly, if I left that in the actual edit, I don't think anyone would have called you. Nothing personal. But if I remember correctly, you were real anti-Rick Wink in the elimination last week, right?
I was.
Yeah.
And well, it's kind of funny because I stare at these past performances for like 2 hours every single day. And for some reason, I just now noticed that when Jeff said, thank you. Can I point at it? There we go. I just now noticed that Rick Wink is adding Lasix. I was very against him in his elimination.
Oh, thanks for reading my press release, Kevin. I added in there. Thanks. Appreciate that.
What did you say?
I said Rick Wink is adding LASIX. I made it pretty clear.
I didn't read it.
Maybe were you not getting the mask fitted at that time?
I was
challenging
Ethan Page for the Canadian North American Championship or whatever it is.
There you go.
I did not like Rick Wink last time, but he's adding LASIX, and I actually thought that his first over move was more impressive than I expected it to be. I didn't think that he really had the punch to get within striking distance of horses like that, and I think I completely agree with what Jeff said. Whenever he was around the final turn, he just wasn't going to catch those top two, and Page kind of, I don't want to say mailed it in, but he gives a little look to his left to make sure that nobody's coming up his inside. He knows he has third wrapped up. Now he's adding LASIX. He did impress me a little bit more than what I thought he would. I'm going to use him. I'm not going to use Twisted Destiny. We're gonna play against him. I don't know why Mike hates this horse so much. I'm going to use Prince Hal Hanover. He was by him. If you look, I know that and Ray mentioned this on the Oak Grove feed, which, by the way, it only took us like 22 minutes to get an Oak Grove mention, which that was exciting. And maybe this just means that he's better on a bigger track, but he was past Twisted Destiny for whatever that's worth. I think that he is a horse that's going to be forward. He has no choice but to be forward. If you look back to the NA Cup, I really have no idea why he wasn't forward, and he's been dancing all the dances, and he's been putting up huge races. So I don't see why he would stop now. I think he's going to have a good trip on the front, and I think he's going to put in a good effort. And I really wish Sippin' on C-Rock would have drawn a little bit better. And he probably should have won. I think if he moves to the outside and maybe late pulls on, I forget who was first over, but if he late pulls on, I want to say it was Poppy's Pistol, he probably goes by Fallout and the rest are left chasing. Maybe Swingtown gets up for second, but the rest are left chasing. So I'm going to use Sippin' on C-Rock as well. I think he raced extremely well given that he had to weave between horses. And I think Yannick is going to go forward and maybe get a good trip as well. So I'm 2-8-9. We're throwing out Twisted Destiny. He was extremely impressive, but I think they're all going to take their shots at him, and we're going to go against him here. So I'm 2-8-9.
But we're saying they're all going to take shots against him. That to me is on the presumption that Dexter's in one place, and that's the lead. I don't know that that's the case here. I
just mean like from a race, not like from a trip standpoint, like take their shots at him. I just mean like,
okay,
they're going to, I don't know.
Maybe I'm adding a bit of a flair to interpreting your language, but I'm not necessarily a Dexter Dunn scholar. I think it's hard to argue any of us are. He's only been racing in the States for 6, 7. It's going to be embarrassing if I get this number wrong. So I'm not going to say it. Point being, he had more of a career down under than he has in the States.
Years.
But actually, is that even possible? That's right. He's had a career in the States 3 years more than the amount of time he's been on this planet. But what I've noticed from Dex, especially in these big money events, he leans more methodical than he does aggressive. Whether that's by design, whether that's by the horse he drives, that's up to interpretation. And maybe that could very well be the reason for this observation. But I feel like off of a race like that, to get a good draw in the final with all the speed inside of this race, he's not going forward. The biggest risk, and Mike, you can chime in on this because maybe this is why you're so against him. From this inside draw, there's a risk in my mind. If he wants to be second up, he may be forced to go first up. And that's going to be a real test of what he actually is, because the elimination, he showed himself to be better than Prince Hal Hanover. I felt there was every opportunity for Prince Hal to go by, and he couldn't. Twisted Destiny was able to hold him off. Dex had the horse wrapped up in that win. So I'm curious, because Kevin mentioned it. You're against him. Is that part of what you don't like about him, or is it as simple as he's the morning line favorite, others are as good, I'm going to get better value elsewhere?
Oh, are you criticizing my morning line again, Mike?
No, I didn't criticize it at all. I do think that the price on the 12 or the 9's a little high, but that's my only thought on it, really. But
I hope it's right, Jeff, for what it's worth.
I hope it's right.
Twisted Destiny's had easy trips so far, and he's proven that he's fast, but can he overcome adversity? And you have 5 Burke horses in this race, and you can't tell me that they're not going to go all in to try to win the Mickey Burke, Delvin Miller Adios. There's just no way. All these horses they're going to fire out. I could see Rick Wink firing out and getting an aggressive try. Prince Hal is going. Sippin' on C-Rock's going. Where does that leave Twisted Destiny exactly if he doesn't go forward and try to hold position? And then he might end up first up. He might end up buried and shuffled in this race. I mean, I could see several of these horses not seeing the pylons in here. It's going to be a wicked half, a wicked pace. and it's going to set up from something from off the pace for sure. So I think that you have the two workhorses that are going to come from off of it, Swingtown and Railroad Station. I do think that it sets up for one of those two. I don't really like Rick Wink. I mean, Kevin said, that he was impressive first up. He didn't go anywhere. I mean, he went first up, but he didn't make any impression on the top two. So, I mean, he gets Lasix here. That's just going to be an excuse to go forward and get involved in this pace here. And actually, I think it could take a lot of sting out of Prince Hal. And who knows what's going to happen with Twisted Destiny. I mean, it is Dexter, and he could, drive him perfect and make us all look bad. But I just feel like one of the two Burks from off the pace win the race. So it's either going to be Swingtown or Railroad Station. I think it's going to be one of those two finishing up, while the rest of them are gasping at the end, because Prince Hal, he has no reason. He has nothing to do but go forward. I think the 9 is going to be sacrificed with his speed and his talent from that outside post. And he got him in trouble last time too. So he's going to be looking for a clear shot to win. So give me the closers. Give me the 4. Give me the 6.
Well, and two additional notes before I provide more thoughts. Zidek did an empirical study, and I mean it's empirical because I think there's 4 total data points, and that's enough for me. You said Prince Hal Hanover, not necessarily a Meadows favorite, correct?
Yeah, I cannot remember him having an outstanding performance compared to his other races that he's put in elsewhere. He has not really fared quite as well at the Meadows. So that to me is significant. And I used that in my handicapping last week when I picked against him. Other thing I want to point out, and Ray, I think I'm going to throw this back to you then, because you're talking about trip and you're talking about what kind of trip Twisted Destiny may want. Remember, this was not a fully open draw. The winners picked first. Swingtown got first choice. Swingtown picked post 4. And so Chris Ryder had 7 other options there of where he was going to he wasn't going to be going out to the 9 post or the 8 post. So he had several other live options. And remember, at the Meadows, over the past 15 years, every single year, our winningest post is post 5. He had the option. He could have taken the rail. He could have taken the 2. He opted for the 3. Was he trip handicapping, trying to figure out that there's going to be 1 or 2 inside of him that are going to get ahead of him, and he's going to get a second over trip? So how much did that play in? How much was he trip handicapping when he selected post 3? So I'll throw that back at you.
That's actually brilliant, Jeff, because the first thing I was thinking when you mentioned the difference, if you wanted post 5, you'd want that for a horse that has, Prince Hal Hanover type gate speed, the type that he showed in the North America Cup from post 9, by the way. But that aside, that you're right. I think he wanted the more inside post, because it's also a slanted gate at the Meadows. So the farther out you go, the easier it is for you to thrust forward. And so I feel like that puts Twisted Destiny inherently into a stalking spot. Now, whether he can capitalize off that stalking trip, I personally feel like there are other horses who are better equipped to do that. Maybe this is an argument for Prince Hal Hanover, because if Twisted Destiny is having to come second up, that puts him 2 or 3 lengths off of the lead, potentially turning for home. Depending on how the speed's going, Prince Hal can keep up. If he's first or second turning for home, maybe he can hold on comparative to the sprint that Twisted Destiny can put forth. Because really what I think came down to that elimination, Twisted Destiny was able to have the jump and have the advantage, and Prince Hal, because he was at the disadvantage, wasn't going to make any inroads. But you flip the script and add a couple extra lengths of cushion, that forces Twisted Destiny to work more. And that's to Mike's point. He's only had to do that so much in his career. So it's tough to want to try and hinge on him at a short price inside of the spot to pull it out of the fire in that way, when there are many other viable horses inside of this race, as John Rallis gracefully, I should say.
Thanks, John.
I would like to say about Prince Hal, 3 of those starts came in his 2-year-old season, and I think he's clearly much better. He's way better now than he was at 2.
I would agree with that.
And also, he doesn't need to pass Twisted Destiny if he's ahead of Twisted Destiny. And also, I think it was a little bit of the Chris Page thing on Rick Wink, where McCarthy knew he wasn't going to get Twisted Destiny, so he it's not too far before the wire, but you can tell he kind of just sits on him a little bit, and unless the horse
didn't go anywhere. He watched the race.
Making up.
I think
ground.
I think the most interesting.
He lost ground in the stretch.
No, he didn't. He was making up ground.
He lost ground.
He did.
We're talking about Rick Wink, right? Rick Wink.
No, I was talking about Prince Hal.
Oh, Prince out.
Okay.
Prince. I mean, he was
Prince.
he was inching in while Dex had Twisted Destiny wrapped up, but I think.
But he wasn't using Prince Hal.
I mean, he was asking a little, like he wasn't probably going
was
into the reserves,
little,
but he's still
but
asking.
You can tell there's a certain point where he stops asking.
Yeah, because he's losing.
He's still going though. He's still going. The horse.
What I wanted to say on Rick Wink, Jeff looked at that trip in a way that I would have never looked at it. Because when I was watching the elimination and where Rick Wink landed, knowing he was a supplement, it's like I felt he had to go first up. He had to make a move. The fractions weren't going to be nice to him. He's going to tucker himself out. And I never really looked at it as Page being mindful that he's not going to catch them. Granted, maybe that's like a subtle part of my analysis. I felt like he was so fatigued from having to go uphill against those fractions that's why he lost ground, as opposed to it being a mindful, I know that's all my horse got, all that my horse has, so I'm just going to try and finish the best I can. I'm not going to catch those two. I think if you look at it my way, Rick Wink, not really that appealing. You look at it Jeff's way, adding Lasix, 6-1 morning line, he may be more ignored than the other Burke horses because he lost ground in the elimination. There could be value there. One other piece to talk about with this is the stark difference in the elimination. So we kind of alluded to this. Mike, specifically, I want your thoughts on this. Twisted Destiny's elimination is a merry-go-round, pretty much. The front two horses do their thing. Rick Wink makes some gains. He gets third. But, of course, the second elimination, Fallout, comes to a complete stop at the top of the stretch. Poppy's Pistol also is just stuttering or straggling on the rim, and every other horse is having to go around them. Do you think it's possible that there can be value on those horses from that second elimination purely because they're coming out of the slower race that was marred by that pace dynamic, and maybe that is the approach to take in this race?
Absolutely. And that first elimination, the horses looked dominant, and it was a quick time. So people flock to that. People look and say, okay, the 3 went 48 last week, and the other elimination, went in 50 and 1. So that they must be that much better. It was almost 2 seconds faster, but the dynamics, like you said, were completely different in there. And I do think Sippin' on C-Rock, like Kevin said, should have won that race pretty easily. If he was moved aggressively in that race, he wins. But he's stuck outside. But I do think the fact that he had that trouble is going to make this pace heat up even that much more. So you're right about the value. That's why a railroad station is going to be a big price in this race. That's why Swingtown will probably be ignored again in this race. He was 8-1 last week. He's not going to get that. I mean, I think Rick Wink is probably close to the same on the board as Swingtown again, just because this horse is getting Lasix, inside post. I mean, there's things to like. There's things that you can latch onto. So I agree with you that the prices on the horses from the second elimination are going to be inflated related to the times. I do think Twisted Destiny's probably even money in this race, and that's just too low.
Well, and another piece to note with this race specifically regarding Sippin' on C-Rock, he was the big speed as a 2-year-old over at the Red Mile, track known for getting speed out of horses. And you time and time again on this show will point out horses that they just love that track. I know if we were talking about Vic Selensky, that's all you'd be saying about him. But when's the verdict out on Sippin' on C-Rock specifically? Because I feel like he could have been aided by Red Mile being as fast a track as it is for going that 48 and change race as a 2-year-old. But I don't know that he's really had a great opportunity to go that high caliber speed in his 3-year-old season so far. And he has the best post for Yannick Gingras, a man who, if he takes back, it's probably because he's not feeling well that day. I feel like Sippin' on C-Rock tries to go down the road. Is there a possibility that maybe we're overlooking how fast this horse is?
Right. He was an inch away from winning the the Breeders' Crown. So, I mean, and probably a better trip, and he would have been right on the wire there. I know that Lou Print was, your darling, but let's be real about it. He certainly could have won that race. I think Sippin' on C-Rock's a use in the pick 4. You have to use this horse off the trouble last week, off his 2-year-old form and his speed. And they're going to be trying, he's going to have to endure a really tough trip. But if anybody can do it, I think Yannick can do it. So he's a use for me, and he's extreme value, especially since Jeff priced him up so nicely on the morning line.
And again,
I just haven't seen Sippin' on C-Rock be quite the same horse that he was at 2 this year. I just have not seen that yet. And that coupled with the outside. So now I'm going to be keeping an eye on those odds on Saturday to see how close he is to that 12-1 price. You know, when you're talking, as you said, Twisted Destiny might be even money. I don't know how a horse on the outside is going to get anything better than 10, 12 to 1 with this type of field. So we'll see how accurate that may be. We'll have a little side wager on that, Mikey.
I guess final thoughts now. Let's round up everything together into some sort of direction. We're gonna go around the table. This is just a digital thing. This is like a bunch of ones and zeros that a bunch of nerds and other people put together so that we can broadcast to everyone. Let's go around the figurative round table. A horse we think we like to win, like our top pick to win the Adios, and maybe a horse in the Adios that we think is going to be a great price that we want to try and use somewhere vertically, horizontally, whatever. Jeff, I'll start with you. Your top pick and maybe your key price inside of this 59th Grade 1 Delvin Miller Adios Pace.
I am going with Twisted Destiny. I do think that, Dexter Dunn and Chris Ryder, they know what they're doing. They'll work out the trip that they want, and I think we're going to see what this horse is made of. The pricier one that can add some value is Railroad Station. There was a lot of talent there, and if there is that speed battle with the 8 and 9 moving on the outside, trying to get to the front early, Railroad Station is one of the closers that can get there. I do think Railroad Station is going to be a bit of a price in here, and I think with Tetrick sitting behind him, I think he could get a big piece of this.
Meadow, your top pick and key price in this Adios.
My top pick is Twisted Destiny. No matter how it plays out, Dexter Dunn knows what he's doing. He knows exactly when to pull at the right time. I think he's very patient, and he's going to go into this race with a plan no matter what happens. So that's my pick. And I'm really surprised no one talked about Wedlock Blue Chip. That horse was 3-4 wide in the last turn of his elimination. I thought he closed incredibly well, made up a ton of ground. So I think that would be a horse to definitely look out for a price play.
Kevin, your top pick and price play in the Adios.
I've thought about it even more as you guys are talking. Top pick is going to be Sipping on Sea Rock, because in the last 2 starts, we've seen him get back to form that I think is going to allow him to have a much more staying power in this race than you think. I think Yannick's going to take no prisoners, and I think he'll get the job done at a price, hopefully. And other price horse to use, well, it's the one that I said last week, and I'm surprised we didn't really even talk about it. Swingtown was 8-1 last week. That was cool. I really enjoyed that. I think Swingtown, Ren for Burke, he'll be a price use on my horizontal and vertical tickets.
Mikey, your top pick and price play in the Adios.
Yeah, I'll try Swingtown. I just think he gets the right setup, the right trip. He was a stellar 2-year-old also, and I do think the Burks are going to find a way to win this race. As far as prices, I know you said 1, but I do think, like I said, Railroad Station has a big chance to really crack this try. And Sipping on Sea Rock also, I think, has a big chance to hit the ticket. Both uses in the pick 4 for sure at big prices.
As for me, I'm leaning Swingtown as well. Just if you're looking for a horse that's going to be off of it, I think he also can work a trip from the speed in the event that the speed collapses inside of this race. And plus, his handiness is the biggest key. He got shut down and still re-rallied in the North America Cup off those fast fractions. Got shut down, still won in the Adios Pace elimination. Quite frankly, I feel he could be Burke's top rung now with Blueprint on the sidelines, and all depending on what Sippin' on Sea Rock, who's my price play here, can show with his speed. This is Sippin' on Sea Rock's opportunity to show the world I'm not just a red mile speed horse. I can go 48. I can go 47 and change on the 5/8 if he so chooses. From that draw as well, I think he's going to be a great price in the Adios Pace. Lastly, here on the show, the focus of everything was the $15,000 guaranteed pick 4. So we're going to go around for everyone's pick 4 ticket specifically for that sequence. Jeff, starting with you, your 50-cent ticket for the $15,000 guaranteed Adios pick 4.
It's going to be a pricey one. Race 13, going with the 6, 7, and 8. Going to try all 3 in there. Race 14, I am going to go 2, 5, and 8. I'm going to go 3 deep in that one as well. Hope somebody's writing this down. The Adios, I'm going 4 deep in numerical order: 2, 3, 4, and 6. That's 2, 3, 4, 6 in numerical order. And then the 16th race, I'm going with the 3 and the 5. Keep it a little simpler there at the end. So what was that? That was 9 times 4 is 36 times 2, 72. So about a $36 play.
Okay, Mike.
If my math is right.
Mike.
First race, 2, 5, 6. I'd be heavy 2 and 6. I think the 5 would be more of a B type for me. Second leg, I think that the 2 and the 8 are the best horses, and I would use them heavily. Maybe use a backup on the 5 in there just for sanity insurance. The Adios, I think it's a price in there. So I'm going to use Swingtown, the Railroad Station, Sipping on Sea Rock. I do think I probably would use Twisted Destiny as a backup just in case, Tim's horse would get down in the second leg here. I would want to have a little sliver of him to be live to the 3 and the 5 in the last race, because I think it's going to be one of those two. You could just take out line and run it through the 4 in the last because he's not winning.
Kevin, your
3 has lost so many times here. Whatever.
Well, your ticket.
If the 4 wins, I'll eat the program.
Thanks. Pick 4, race 13. I will use the 8, actually. I'll go 2, 6, 8 in race number 13. Race 14, the Adi Volo second division. I'll go 2, 8. I just think Always Dawn and Asphalt are the 2 best fillies in there. Race 15, the Adios, 3 deep. 2, Rick Wink. 8, Prince Hal Hanover. And 9, Sipping on Sea Rock. And in the getaway, pace, bottom condition, 2 deep with Picasin the 4 and Dragon City the 5. I believe that is 18 for 50 cents and 36 for $1.
And then Meadow, your pick 4 ticket.
Race 13, Sire Stake. I have 2, 6, 7. I'm going 4 deep in the Adio Volo with 2, 3, 5, 8. Race 15, I'm going with the 3 and the 8. And race 16, I'm keeping it easy, just going with the 3 for a $12 ticket.
And then as for myself, I have 2, 4, 6 with 3, 5, 8 with 2, 4, 9 with 3, 4. That's a $27 play for 50 cents. But if Edison Hatter happens to be watching the show, I have a pick 4 ticket specifically for him. The numbers that he should use are 1-800 and then whatever spells gambler. That's what he should play in that Adios.
You're going to read his phone number.
I'm not going to read his phone number. I actually have class and civility despite what people might say about me. That said, I thank all of you for having the same on this roundtable discussion, looking at just some of the stakes on Adios Day. Of course, everyone here, except for myself, I don't know what I'm doing on Saturday aside from watching the race, but all of you are in some capacity involved in the broadcast, in the presentation, in the festivities of Adios Day. Jeff, you wrote the press release, which of course I read, but for everyone who didn't read, tell everybody some of the things they can look forward to at the Meadows on Saturday.
Well, first off, I want to point out that if we're going to do these at 8 o'clock at night, that somebody needs to buy me the clapper because my room got dark and I don't have it, so I can't get the lights on in the room. So somebody please help me and send me one of those for next year's podcast. So I don't even know what we were talking about now. Yeah, we got a lot going on. We've got plenty of stakes on Friday night. We've got plenty of stakes on Saturday. We've got the hat giveaway, which is not this one. We've got the... You'd
be able to see it.
Oh, you won't miss it. If I had it on right now, I wouldn't need the lights in the room. So, yeah, we got plenty going on, $160,000 worth of guaranteed pools, and they start early in the card, and they run through the end of the card. So there you go. Thank you. Yeah, you've got that $5,000 pick 4 pool starting in race 1, and we're going to carry you all the way through some big pools in the 15th, and then you've got that Adios pick 4 and the Adios pick 6, which will go straight through race 16. So big day, lots going on. If you're in the area, come on out and enjoy it. If not, we're going to be simulcasting on your favorite ADW, on RTN, and the biggie is from 3 to 6. We're going to be part of Fox Saratoga Saturday. So here's to hoping I don't screw up my race call on national TV.
You'll kill it. It'll be good.
And then Meadow, not only what are you doing Saturday, but also tell everyone who's watching what you're up to and how to find you.
Yeah, so I'll do a little promo work here. Friday night, Hot to Trot podcast is doing a live podcast from the Meadows, and yours truly, Kevin Plowcha, will be a guest handicapper on the podcast if you want to tune in, starting at 4. We'll be on site both Friday and Saturday. We have giveaways. Come talk to us. We can talk horses. Other than that, if you want to find us on socials, you can find us at Penn Horse Racing on Twitter, Instagram. What's the other one? Facebook, all of it. TikTok, we're there. Connect with us. We love talking to people. So we're excited for this weekend. Excited to see everyone wear your purple. And it's supposed to rain, but fingers crossed there's a miraculous miracle where we don't run into that issue. But other than that, we'll find some coverage and we'll still be there.
Who knows? All the weather forecasting is all of a sudden sucked, and nobody knows why. But aside from that, Kevin, I didn't even know that you were going to be doing the Hot to Trot podcast. So you got that to plug along with what else?
Yeah, thanks to Meadow for inviting me on to the live Hot to Trot podcast. I'll be there Friday and Saturday. I'll be up in the booth Saturday, maybe some of Friday night. Hopefully give out some winners. But Saturday with Mikey P up in the booth. Jeff doesn't think I'm going to give out any winners. I'm going to give out every winner.
No, I don't think I'm letting you in the booth.
Oh, that's a first. That sucks. But no, me and Mike will be up in the booth with Jeff, and Roger will be up there too. So lots going on. Definitely come say hello if you're out there at Plowcha_harness on X. And that's about it.
What is that? What is X?
Twitter.
Thank you.
I've been staring at these programs forever, and it's just been a massive grind this year. So really happy and excited to see it all come together. Cannot wait for this weekend. Very excited.
And Mike, you're also going to be a part of the broadcast, and of course, you're doing all the other stuff here on you got a lot going on too.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying Cheyenne trolling Kevin more than
I'm picking
anything,
every winner. Card sweep.
Yeah, of course, In the Money Media rolls on YouTube channel, the InTheMoneyPodcast.com website. I've been doing a lot of thoroughbred stuff, but still maintaining the harness coverage. Of course, we have the Handball Limbs Harness Players podcast that's going to pop up on the feed probably sooner than later that we did with John Rallis and with Ray. And, of course, Thomas Fenson, and they have fantastic information for that. I'm actually doing the picks for DRF also for this Adios card, so you can find out all those picks and my analysis. Can't wait to be there Saturday. It is a blast to come to the Adios. I've been coming to the Adios since I was 18 years old, so almost 30 years, longer than Ray's been alive, almost as long as Jeff's been calling races.
That's a lot of
Don't forget you left out the pancakes.
As well.
And of course I get to watch Kevin eat pancakes, and
DRF,
hopefully I get to beat him.
I've been doing DRF stuff for Mohawk, DRF harness for Mohawk the entire month. It's been a lot of fun. Saturday I can't wait to go wake up and eat pancakes and be fully replenished and ready for the day.
I mean, I think honestly, Meadow, if you guys are looking to do a Saturday morning podcast, that should be the episode. Is Kevin and Jeff, who can eat more pancakes? How do they like their pancakes?
There's no I don't even finish the kids portion.
Yeah.
And Kevin houses the whole whatever they have in the back. I mean,
there's a story too. If Kevin finishes your children's pancakes, Jeff, like that's drama in the theater. In the screenwriting world, there's a lot of metaphors that can be reaped from that event. I have nothing to plug because Oak Grove ended, and I just do podcasts now. What can I say? But thank you for watching or listening to these podcasts to keep me going until Oak Grove comes back, or until my other fledgling careers finally pick off, or if something else happens. But as Mike said, Hambo elimination episode of the Harness Players podcast up on the archive feeds soon. I got to get those posted. The video will also be posted in time as well, so you have that to consume. And next week, we're going to do a live roundtable for Hambletonian Day, the greatest day in harness racing. It's past Jeff's bedtime. It's getting to be close to my bedtime, too. And with all of these lights on, I'm going to go way past my bedtime this evening. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and stick around on the In the Money Media Network. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Throw likes on any. I'm going to be honest, even if you don't like a video, which again, I can understand. I can only do so much to, appeal to everybody, PTF as well. And he really tries, but look at it as your charitable act of the day. Even if you thought it was just an okay episode, even if you thought that, the guy who was on was just giving out way too much chalk, and that bothers you, and you think that's stupid.
Turn the pick 4 into a pick 6 with 2 singles. Good as you and Chief Mate. I know Jeff will be singling Chief Mate if he plays a pick 6.
Hey, don't get me started on
Chief
Chief
Mate.
Mate and Adios Day. I don't want to talk about that.
You love him.
Chief Mate from the 9-hole.
The 9-hole in the purple.
This is
no shot.
These are all the reasons why you should throw us a like. We need it. Does Mr. Beast need it? Does Joe Rogan need it? They're fine. They have enough likes to live off of. They'll be eating likes longer than I'll be alive. So please give them to us. And subscribe to the In the Money Media YouTube channel. Hambletonian Day live show next week. Hambletonian Lim show upcoming. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. That's all I got to say. Bye-bye.